Hey everyone, welcome to Module 2, where we're going to have our required film viewing of Tennessee Williams' classic Pulitzer Prize winning play, A Streetcar Named Desire. A Streetcar Named Desire first appeared on Broadway in 1948 as a very critically acclaimed popular play. It starred Jessica Tandy, Kim Hunter, and Marlon Brando in his debut role, and Carl Malden. Three of them, of course, repeated their roles in the film version we're going to watch. In 1951, Hollywood decided to adapt it, and they were a little worried because we did talk in this module about how the code was still intact and censored many things that could be shown on film. And this play is filled with very sexual adult themes. So they were just wondering how they were going to transition it to film. The screenplay was written by playwright Tennessee Williams, and they managed to get the green light by Warner Brothers to bring this wonderful play to film. Three of the cast members, as I stated, transitioned to the film version. Marlon Brando, in one of his first film roles, setting Hollywood on fire, and Kim Hunter as Stella, and Carl Malden as Mitch. But the problem was the central key role of Blanche Dubois, the star of the play, played by Jessica Tandy on Broadway. Jessica was not at that time a film star, and of course in film it's very important to cast someone who is going to bring some box office dollars. So they looked and discovered in London that Vivien Leigh, who was famous for playing Scarlett O'Hara in 1939's Gone with the Wind, she had done the London stage version, was familiar with the play. She was a big name. Ironically, an English actress who was noted twice for her performances as Southern women on film. First in Gone with the Wind as Scarlett O'Hara, and second as Blanche Dubois in 1951's Streetcar. Streetcar deals with Blanche. She has left her small town in Mississippi. She can no longer go back to her home, childhood home, because it has been sold off. She has left her town as a former school teacher, English teacher in high school, in shame because she's had a relation with a 17-year-old student. Her husband has died under mysterious circumstances early on by suicide. So things aren't too good for Blanche. She goes the only place she can to her younger sister Stella's house, where she lives with her husband Stanley Kowalski, a blue-collar worker who's somewhat emotional and abusive. It's a very shabby, rundown tenement type of apartment in New Orleans, something that Blanche, being a former Southern belle, is not accustomed to. Blanche is an interesting character, and Tennessee Williams often did this. She lives in a dream world. She prefers a fantasy of how life is. She doesn't want to see things the way they really are. She's dealing with a lot of mental issues and angst. She is trying to come together and bring her life back together. The conflict in the film is that her and Stanley spar. Stanley sees her as getting in the way. They're about to have a child. Stella is pregnant, having their first child. They have a very steamy, hot sexual relationship, and Blanche is getting in the way. And the film is about the conflict between the two. Why it's important in Hollywood history is that it is moving Hollywood farther along, even with constraints of the code. It is a very adult film. It has a subtext of sexuality between Stella and Stanley, sexual tension that Blanche feels between her and the character of Stanley. And you can really see this in the performances at the subtext. There are also other adult themes in the film. At one point in the film, Stanley sexually abuses Blanche. And then there is a lot of allude to the relationships that Blanche had with younger boys, teenage boys that she taught in high school, and then the issues with her husband, which I'll get into. So this is kind of moving adult themes forward, but it also had to really play to the constraints of the code. In the play A Streetcar Named Desire, Blanche's husband, who dies early on in their marriage, has killed himself because he is gay and has had a relationship with a man. This is never mentioned in the film. It's alluded to. I think at one point in the film she says he came out. but it's never stated because it can't be at this time. The rape scene, the sexual abuse scene between her and Stanley late in the film, it's just alluded to. We see her throw something at a mirror, and we're assuming that something happened next. Again, they couldn't come out and say things at this time, but I think this film and director Elia Kazan and cast do a really good job at bringing this strong material to film. Also note while you're watching it, Marlon Brando, we talked in this module about method actors. He was this exciting new method actor who used his whole body, his emotions to play a character. This is the first time you see a man in a film crying, having tears in his eyes, getting emotional in one scene, angry in another scene. He's a full force in this film. And this film really is a testament to a great ensemble. We are great performances on film class. The cast is just terrific. I actually think that three of them won Oscars, of course. Carl Malden won an Oscar for Mitch. Stella, played by Kim Hunter, won an Oscar. And Blanche Dubois' character, played by Vivian Lee. Vivian Lee won her second Oscar. Brando was the only one that came home empty-handed, but he'd get his Oscars later on. But they worked together wonderfully as an ensemble to create a really strong, powerful piece of drama on film. Really a testament to a new, exciting type of drama, moving Hollywood forward in adult material. I hope you enjoy the film.